بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Last night's class we discussed in chapter number 44 with regards to praying upon the body parts that have been specified by the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, and the ruling of making salah and your clothes are tucked up or rolled up. Your hair is in braids or plaits, dreads. Your hair is in a ponytail. You have some type of tying or fastening mechanism or style in your hair, the hair of your head. That's the last place in which we left off last night's class. We explained in Hadith number 276. We're reaching, alhamdulillah, the 300 Hadith mark. All praises for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 300 Hadiths from Bukhari and Muslim. We've successfully studied the Hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. And we said, as a disclaimer and as a primer to the class, we've given some detail with regards to this issue and a question that was brought to us regarding tucking up your pants to make the salah. A very common practice by many brothers in Western countries, overseas as well. But when it's time for salah, they roll up their pants. Not getting into the issue of isbal. Is isbal permissible or impermissible? Is it haram to practice isbal? Absolutely. Or is it only haram if a person does it out of pride and conceit? We've explained that in detail as well on the channel, and the kalam of the people of knowledge regarding that. However, regardless of the ruling, a person's pants beneath his ankle. So therefore, he comes to the musalla, he comes to the masjid, and he wants to roll up his pants. And we also discussed before the reason behind rolling up the pants coming in the masjid. Is it based off a hadith, which is da'if? Is it based off of the pants are so long, person is tripping? Is it based off of his pants being unclean? Obviously, if it's based off of da'if hadith, if it's based off of the pants being so long that a person will trip when he takes off his shoes or his boots, then common sense will tell you to trim your pants. And if it's based off of the fact that your pants are dirty from the ground and from outside, then where does the dirt go when you roll up your pants? It doesn't go anywhere. It stays on you in the salah. So all three of those scenarios clearly show the importance and the wisdom and the benefit of a man avoiding isbal and having the pants trimmed, cut, and tailored before, during, and after the salah. Everybody clear on this? Khairan, inshallah. Then somebody, he may not have the pants that are really long. They're not super long. They're not dirty. He's not based off a da'if hadith, but he just wants to roll it up. But it has to be a reason why he's rolling up his pants to come into the masjid and not making a salah in a normal way, in a normal manner in which he would. And there are other brothers who don't roll up their pants when they come into the masjid. The bottom line is it permissible for me to roll up my pants? I work in a hotel. I'm a security guard. I'm a driver. And for one reason or another, I don't want to have high waters on in front of the people, in front of the clients. But when I come to the masjid, I want to roll them up. So what is the rule? Is it permissible or is it impermissible? Is it allowed for a woman to make the salah and she wears plaits and braids? Is it allowed for a man to have a ponytail? Is it allowed for a man to braid his hair? Is it allowed for a man to have cornrows? Is it permissible to have dreadlocks? Any way in which a person ties up his hair. Is it permissible outside of the salah and inside of the salah? And we've explained that as well on Mufti Q&A in detail. The ruling of dreadlocks and certain hairstyles for men and for women. We've explained that there as well. So with that being said, please go back to those videos for the further explicit details. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says regarding this, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, and with regards to the entire issue, he says here, listen very carefully, he says, هذه الأحاديث فيها فوائد. He says there are many benefits in these hadiths. Minha, from them, أن أعضاء السجود سبعة. is that the places upon which you must make sujood are 7. Not 8, not 6, but 7. وَأَنَّهُ يَنْبَغِي لِلسَّاجِدِ أَنْ يَسْجُدَ عَلَيْهَا كُلِّهَا. And then it's necessary for the one who's making the sujood, to make sujood upon all of them. وَأَنْ يَسْجُدَ عَلَى الْجَبْهَةِ وَالْأَنْفِ جَمِيعًا. And to prostrate upon one's forehead and one's nose collectively. Not just the forehead without the nose, not just the nose without the forehead. He says both of them. فَأَمَّا الْجَبْهَةُ فَيَجِبُ وَضْعُهَا مَكْشُوفَةً عَلَى الْأَرْضِ وَيَكْفِي بَعْضُهَا. He says, as far as the forehead, then it's a must for one to place the forehead on the earth, مَكْشُوفَةً, and has to be uncovered. It cannot be covered up, like we said last night. He says it must be covered up. So based off of that, your Kufi, Khalid, to pray on that would be haram. Would be haram. You, Usama, you say you have to what? Lift up your forehead. He says it must be placed upon the earth. وَالْأَنْفُ مُسْتَحَبٌ فَلَوْ تَرَكَهُ جَائِزٌ. As far as the nose, then it's recommended. And if he left it off, then it's permissible. وَلَوْ اقْتَصَرَ عَلَيْهِ وَتَرْكَ الْجَبْهَةَ لَمْ يَجُزْ. But if a person just did it with the nose and not the forehead, then it will be unlawful and invalid. هذا مذهب الشافعي ومالك رحمهم الله تعالى والأكثرين. وقال أبو حنيفة رضي الله عنه وابن القاسم من أصحاب مالك له أن يقتصر على أيهما شاء. وقال أحمد رحمه الله تعالى وابن حبيب من أصحاب مالك رضي الله عنهما يجب أن يسجد على الجبهة والأنف جميعا لظاهر الحديث. قال الأكثرون بل ظاهر الحديث أنهما في حكم عضو واحد. He says here, now he's not speaking about the issue of uncovering the head anymore. He's talking about now the bones, the forehead and the nose. طيب? As far as the proof or the dalil that your forehead must be uncovered, no, we didn't necessarily mention the dalil here. And as we explained last night, if a person says that the head has to be uncovered, why? What's the dalil for that? And if the head has to be uncovered, then why are the rest of the body parts allowed to be uncovered? And the reason why you're covering your knees is for a hikmah, a reason. Or if a person is praying outside and he has on gloves, or whatever the case may be. Moving forward, he says here, speaking on the issue of the head and the nose, and what the ulama say about just the head and not the nose. Now, he says, the madhab of Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, Imam Malik, and most of the fuqaha. Abu Hanifa, they say, or Abu Hanifa ibn al-Qasim, from the students of Malik, not Imam Malik, the disciple of Imam Malik, not Malik. All of the Maliki scholars don't share the same views with Imam Malik. Pay attention. Every Maliki doesn't mean that he takes every single view of Imam Malik. And Imam Malik's view does not mean that it's the views and the opinions of the Malikis. And the same applies to Abu Hanifa, Al-Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad. The same applies to the ulama today. Just because these people are saying something doesn't mean he said it. Just because he is saying something, promoting something, doesn't mean what? That they're saying it. However, there is percentage. You can't keep saying that when there's a large, huge percentage. Has to be some glitch somewhere where your followers and your disciples are all doing the same thing over and over again, year after year, person after person. And there's no way that you know about it. And there's no way that you have any idea of what's going on. You promote them, you recommend them, you sponsor them, and you have no clue what's going on in the entire world. It's highly unlikely. It's highly what? Unlikely. And as the great wise man once said, he wasn't a Muslim, one of the most profound statements with regards to government, the most profound things I've read concerning government and politics. He says the only thing that a leader has to do, listen to these words, the only thing that the leader has to do is to make his likes and dislikes known among his subjects. That's it. He doesn't have to force, he doesn't have to do it, he doesn't have to do none of that, but make it known what I like and what I don't like. It's well known that this leader does not allow bribery. And anyone caught dealing with bribes, taking bribes, giving bribes, will be severely punished. Then there lies no doubt the bribery in the country is going to go away overnight? No. Are people still going to use bribes? Yes. But it's going to be what? extremely low-key, because they know that he has a severe distaste for bribes. And anyone caught dealing with drugs, dealing with bribes, is going to be in a great deal of trouble. But he really doesn't care about bribes. It's no big deal. Do whatever you want to do as long as the country is ran. Give me my money, give me my wealth, you take this percentage, and the rest of the people, you know, they can live like dogs. Doesn't matter to me. If they know that, whether you say that directly or indirectly, then that's what's going to take place in your country, or your masjid, or your da'wah, your followers, if you allow them to do that. Everybody understand this? But let it be known what you like and what you don't like. And one or two things is going to happen. They're going to become exposed. It's going to be brought to the surface. That which is on the bottom has to come to the top. Someone one day is going to say, yeah, Sheikh, ha'ula, these people in America and Canada, they have said this, they have done this, this is the proof, this is the evidence. Bismika anta, in your name, yeah, Sheikh. They're saying in here, your tulab, your disciples, they're saying they follow you. It's impossible for 20, 25 years to go by and this sheikh not knowing anything about what's going on, are the people that come and visit him and sit with him and he praises them. That's mathematically impossible. A year, 5 years, some things, no doubt. But an entire legacy made on someone, that's what? It's impossible. Everybody understand this? Because his likes and dislikes are known to the followers. What's on paper, what is said is one thing. But when someone really likes and dislikes is what? Is another thing. Everybody understand this? The only thing that the statesman has to do, the leader has to do, is make his likes and dislikes known among the subjects. I tolerate this and I don't tolerate that. Everybody understand this? And everything will follow accordingly to suit. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, Imam Malik rahimahullah, everything that he said doesn't mean that his followers took. And everything his followers do doesn't mean it's something that what? He said. However, when there's a great deal of percentage and someone is attributing themselves year after year, day after day, it has to be some glitch somewhere. Someone has made an error. Someone isn't paying attention. Someone is lying. Someone is saying something in which they don't actually practice themselves. Everybody understand this? And if that wasn't the case, then it would not be allowed and it would not be what? Tolerated. Everybody understand this or not? It's impossible. So with that being said, he says, Abu Hanifa and Ibn al-Qasim from the disciples of Malik, they said that a person can do either of the two, the nose or the head. The nose or the head. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah and another Maliki disciple, Ibn Habib, he said that it's a must to prostrate upon the face and the head. The nose and the head, excuse me. The nose and the head. The arch, the bridge of the nose. Based off of the Zahir al-Hadith. What is apparent from the Hadith. He says most of the fuqaha, they say the Zahir al-Hadith is that it's one bone and it's not two bones in which a person has to make sure that both of them are on the ground. Everybody understand this? They say that which is outward, that which is clear and plain from the Hadith is that the nose and the head are what? One. And not two. And not what? Everybody with me? 1, 2. They say the Zahir al-Hadith, what's apparent from the Hadith is that the nose and the forehead is what? 1 and not 2. These fuqaha, they say, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, sab'ah. He said 7 bones. And if we say that the nose and the forehead are 2 different, then that makes how many bones? It makes 8. He says, وَذَكَرَ الْأَنْفِ إِسْتِحْبَابًا. Listen to this. He didn't says, and the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned the nose because it's recommended. Just, extra. It's extra. It's recommended. Where are you getting that from? Why is just the nose recommended but not the knee, not the foot, not the hand? And this is one of the problems with the traditional Orthodox schools, is that it's so much hypocrisy and double standard. Here is wajib, fard, muta'ayyan. And there, oh no, it's only mustahab. But the hadith that you get the ruling from for this is the same hadith that you get the ruling what? For that. What's the difference? Ma balukum. This is only mustahab, but here you must do it. Here in this hadith is a shart. Use the hadith and say it is a condition of the salah. But I have another hadith in which the Prophet uses the same usloob. Commands them to do something, forbids them from doing something, to say it's not a shart. It's just makruh. It's inconsistent. It's what? It's inconsistent. He says here, وَأَمَّا الْيَدَانِ وَالرُّكْبَتَانِ وَالْقَدَمَانِ فَهَلْ يَجِبُ السُّجُودُ عَلَيْهِمَا. As far as the hands and the knees and the feet, then does a person have to make sujood on them? فيه قولان للشافعي رحمه الله تعالى أحدهما لا يجب لكن يستحب استحبابا متأكدا أو متأكدا، والثاني يجب وهو الأصح وهو الذي رجحه الشافعي رحمه الله تعالى، فلو أخل بعضو منها لم تصح صلاته. وإذا أوجبناه لم يجب كشف القدمين والركبتين. وفي الكفين قولان للشافعي رحمه الله تعالى أحدهما يجب كشفهما كالجبهة وأصحهما لا يجب. Listen carefully. I know what he says. As far as the hands, the knees, and the feet, do you have to make sujood on them? He says it's two different views that we have from our Imam. Nawawi, saying Shafi'i. Once the Shafi'i said yes, you have to make sujood on all of them, just like the head and the nose. And another version of Shafi'i says, yustahabu istihbabun muta'akkida. He says, highly recommended and not mandatory. He says, وَالثَّانِي يَجِبُ وَهُوَ الْأَصَحُ. No, he says the correct view of Shafi'i, the correct view of what Shafi'i said is that it's mandatory. Now, if a person, just like we just said, why would Shafi'i even have those two views? One hadith says the Prophet was commanded to pray upon what? 7 parts. Why is the face and the nose mandatory without a doubt? Or at least the head and the nose, but not the other parts. Everybody understand this? It's one what? Hadith. And it's supposed to be one policy. Unless there is another hadith saying the nose must be prostrated upon. The head must be prostrated upon. It's consent. It's one hadith. So it's supposed to be initially one what? Everybody clear this or not? And that is why the comparative study of fiqh, in which you take the principles, the usul, the qawaid, and all of the versions of the hadiths, and you combine them and analyze them critically, is the strongest method of fiqh. It's the most thorough and consistent method of studying fiqh. Learning as a beginner, learning the tafri'at, the subsidiary issues that you may not find in hadiths, and this hypothetical issue, a system of a madhab, so on and so on, is all beneficial. But you're going to find many of these loopholes in so many places. Now, we didn't get into the wars with the other madhabs, in which they will refute the Hanafis, the Malikis, the Hanbalis, the Zahiris, refute them staunchly, and then they'll fall into the exact same thing. Everybody understand this? So I know what he says here, that the correct view of Shafi'i is that you have to make sujood on all of them. All right? He says, if a person didn't make sujood on one of those parts of his body, then the salah will be invalid. Then salah will be what? Invalid. So hypothetically, a person had his feet in the air, or he only made sujood on one knee, or he only had one hand on the ground. There will be what? Invalid. Everybody clear on this? An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says here, وَإِذَا أَوْجَبْنَاهُ لَمْ يَجِبْ كَشْفُ الْقَدَمَيْنِ. And when we say if it's obligatory, that you have to make sujood on all of those parts, then a person does not have to uncover his feet and his knees, like we said. See how the contradiction and the problems, they spin around and they haunt you again. Everybody understand this? So you don't have to make sujood upon them. Clear. Uncover them, no cover them. But you do have to make sujood upon them, i.e., the knees, the feet, and the hands are like the forehead and the nose. All of it being wajib. However, you don't have to expose your knees and your feet. Khuffain, pants, boots, shoes. Everybody clear on this or not? Listen carefully. I don't think we got it 100%. They're saying, the ulama, all of them are saying one way or another, you have to make sujood upon what? No. La. Didn't say that. No way. No way. We didn't say that. Maybe the brothers and sisters online are sharper. We said that from what we read, all of them are saying one thing, is that you have to make sujood on one or two things. And that's what? The head or the nose. Everyone is saying that. Some say both, but everyone at least is saying what? They're going to agree on one as the starting point. Imam Ahmed and the ulama said both. But everyone is saying is going to be here that you must make sujood upon. Everybody understand this or not? You have to make sujood upon the head and the nose, or the head and or the nose. One of the two. Everybody with me or not? Everybody with me? Tayyip. What's the proof that you have to make sujood on your head and your nose? This hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas and other narrations in Sahih Muslim. Clear. Was just the head and the nose mentioned in hadith of Ibn Abbas? No. What else was mentioned? hands, knees, and feet. Now, the ulama, do they say that you have to make sujood on all of those other parts? They don't agree on that. Some say recommended, some say what? Mandatory. Like the head and the nose, or the nose or the head, either of the two. So, if you have to make sujood on these other parts, the head and the nose are now similar to the other body parts. And if they're similar to it being mandatory, they now have to be similar in another issue, which is what? Uncovering it. Kashf. Clear this or not? Clear? But say no. Even if we do say it's mandatory, Shafi'i's view, you don't have to what? Uncover them. But you have to uncover the head. Lish. How am I saying this? It doesn't make what? It's not consistent. It's not what? It's not consistent. We understand or not? Everybody understand this? Once more. The head and the nose. Fard. Hands, knees, and feet. According to the view of Shafi'i is what? Fard. Fard. Wajib. You have to do it. The correct view. Then, the difference, the fork in the road between the head and the nose and other body parts is that you don't have to uncover them. But the dalil for affirming it all is one hadith. So you either want to say you don't have to uncover your forehead, just like you don't have to uncover your knees and your hands, or you have to uncover. Are we clear on this or not? Unless you have another authentic proof that's correctly used to show that the head has to be uncovered and placed on the bare earth. Fahimna, ikhwan? We got this or not? You got this? Sure. Tayyib. Everybody clear on this? النووي رحمه الله تعالى, he then says, وفي الكفين قولان للشافعي رحمه الله تعالى أحدهما يجب كشفهما كالجبهة وصحهما لا يجب. And he says, and there are two other views of Imam al-Shafi'i. Two views with regards to the hands. Once, we know Shafi'i had different madhabs. He was in Egypt, he was in Iraq, different places, times of his life. Imam Ahmed has 6 or 7 riwayat. One person asks him, he says something. A year later, another man asks him, he says what? Something else. He changes the ijtihad. He changed his opinion. He matured. He took that statement back. He read something. He debated with somebody. Everybody understand this? And this goes to show you the false lie that people spread, that studying the madhab is so easy and so simple. And if you study comparative fiqh, you study the fiqh al-hadith, it's going to be so confusing, so hard, and take such a long time. We're in one madhab. And how many what? Of Shafi'i. We didn't get into Shafi'iyah, the Shafi'i jurists. We're just dealing with the what? The Imam. Your head can spin with the what? Inside of a madhab as well. And knowledge is on levels, no matter what system you take. There's beginner's knowledge when it comes to comparative fiqh. There's beginner's knowledge when it comes to fiqh al-hadith. There's an intermediate level, there's an advanced level, and then there's a master's level. Everybody understand this? Everybody understand this or not? A high level of skill, of experience, years of studying fiqh, and different issues and different debates and things like this. And there's no difference between studying a madhab and not studying a madhab. A beginner is taught as a beginner. He's taught as a what? A beginner. Whether he's studying a madhab or whether he's being taught how to pray. Without a what? Specific madhab. Everybody understand the difference? Everybody understand the difference? The madhabiyin, they say, the madhabites, you have to study a madhab. You must. And if you don't, you're going to be confused. You're going to be lost. You're going to waste your time. لن تفقه يعني لن تفهم الفقه نهائيا. You'll never truly understand fiqh, period. Because you can't just say pick up Sahih Bukhari and this is the dalil. You can't do that to the beginner. And what do? We agree on this. And we also agree that you can't pick up a volume of Shafi'i fiqh and get it either. There is a level for what? Beginner in either of the two systems. There's an intermediate level in either of the what? Two systems. Everybody understand this? And that's a lie that they use and say that it's so simple and it's so easy. It's just like, drinking this glass of tea in a crystal. It just goes down smoothly. No, that's not true. There are intricacies, there are differences, there are ins and outs. There are wars within what? One madhab. We didn't talk about other madhabs. Within what? Within one madhab. Everybody clear on this or not? And we've explained this before for the aspiring students of knowledge and not allowing madhabi people to place influence on them and impose their will on them. and cause them to have doubt that you have to be a muta'assib, you have to be a muqallid, you have to just be a donkey for 50 years out of your life. And if you don't, you won't understand fiqh. Everybody understand this? This is something that's spread to the West as well. It's not just in the Middle East. And we're also against the other haphazard way of just picking up a book and you don't know usul al-fiqh, you don't know mustalah hadith, you don't know anything about the lugha al-arabiya. That's incorrect as well. And we do not support that as well. There's some jahil, some person that learned a few things in jail, or some person that learned a few things from reading a book, and then they just become overnight mujtahid. We're not with that what? As well. Both of them are wrong. Everybody understands both of them are what? Both of them are wrong. Rather, knowledge and science, aham shay, is doing it the proper way. An-Nawawi, he says here, the first view is that a person must uncover his hands in the salah of Shafi'i. So that would mean if you call yourself Shafi'i, you can't pray with what on? Gloves. That you cannot pray wearing what? Gloves, according to that opinion. That you cannot pray wearing what? No matter how cold it is, because the hands must be uncovered. And you can't have on a skull cap or a fur cap. You have to do what? Everybody clear on this or not? He says in the second view of Imam Shafi'i, which is the correct view, the mu'tamad, is that you don't have to uncover the hands. So if a person didn't know that second view and he was a Shafi'i, it's haram for him to pray outside in the cold with what? With gloves on. Everybody clear on this? So if you see someone saying that they're Shafi'i and they pray and they have on gloves or something else, you tell them, oh, you're not following your madhab the right way. Everybody understand this or not? Moving forward, he says here, وَقَوْلُهُ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ سبعة أعظم أي سبعة أي أعضاء فسمى كل عضو عظما وإن كان في عظام كثيرة. He says, it's a benefit and attesting to medical science. He says he called each body part one bone, even though there are what? Hundreds of little small tiny what? Bones. How many bones are in one finger? How many bones are in the hand? All types of bones. Now, how many bones are in your knee or your feet, your toes? All right, understand this? He says, وقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم طيب he said إلى أن قال ورأسه معقوس اتفق العلماء على النهي عن الصلاة وثوبه مشمر أو كمه أو نحوه أو رأسه معقوس أو مردود شعره تحت إمامته أو نحو ذلك فكل هذا منهي عنه باتفاق العلماء وهو كراهية أو كراهة تنزيه فلو صلى كذلك فقد أساء وصحت صلاته. I know he says regarding the next issue of tying your hair, rolling up your clothes, folding up your clothes like this. He says all of this is prohibited. And according to all of the ulama, but he says that it's only disliked. It's not necessarily haram. It is not necessarily haram. So if a person prays like this, his prayer is valid, and his prayer, he's done something which is bad. That's what Nawawi says. We've explained what other ulama say regarding this issue and what is the maqsood of that hadith. That you can't roll it up at all, or rolling it up out of pride and conceit. Rolling it up because it's too good to touch the ground. Or if a person's normal style of clothing is to be rolled up. And how many people say you can't roll up your pants, it's haram because of this hadith, because of Sheikh Fulan and this one and that one. But every part of your clothes that you wear has some type of kaf. This is, is what? What's that right there? No question. It's hemmed. My pants, my shirt, my shoes, this and that. Somewhere, somehow, it has some type of what on it? Some type of hem. Some type of folding. Everybody understand that? So to just say that it can't be anything that's folded or hemmed or tucked or trimmed, only Allah knows the difficulty that the people are going to fall into. Everybody clear on this or not? Would the Prophet ﷺ say something like that? Absolutely. For his message to be universal for every time and for every place. Everybody clear on this or not? He says here, واحتج في ذلك أبو جعفر محمد ابن جرير الطبري بإجماع العلماء وحكى ابن المنذر لإعادة فيه عن الحسن البصري ثم مذهب الجمهور أن النهي مطلقا لمن صلى كذلك سواء تعمده للصلاة أم كان قبلها كذلك لا لها بل لمعنى آخر. He says here, other ulama, they say there's ijma' on this as well. And he says, in some of the salaf, such as Hassan al-Basri, said if you do that, you have to pray again. You have to make the salat again. Another issue, is this specific to salat or regardless? I.e., my pants were rolled up before I came into prayer, or I rolled them up specifically for the prayer. He says most of the fuqaha say that it's general. It doesn't matter whether you did it before or after. He says, وَقَالَ Dawoodi, and others, they say that it's only pertaining to the what? The salah. The zahir of the hadith, without a question, is that it's pertaining to when it's done for the salah. Because the Prophet says, and not to, i.e., speaking about fashion. No way. Speaking about dress code. Speaking about salah. A person rolling up in the salah, for the salah. So that's what seems to be the correct view with regards to that. Is that prohibition is specific to those who do it what? For the salah. Tayyib, khairan, inshallah. Another he then says here, not because of the salah, because of something else. Tayyib, moving forward. He says, وَالْمُخْتَرَ الصَّحِيحُ وَالْأَوَّلُ ظَاهِرُ الْمَنْقُولَ عَنْ الصَّحَابَةِ وَغَيْرِهِمْ. Tayyib. He says here, قال العلماء والحكمة في النهي عنه أن الشعر يسجد معه ولهذا مثله بالذي يصلي وهو مكتوف. He says, and the scholars, they say that the wisdom behind this is for one's hair to make sujood with him. What if a person doesn't have long hair? Correct? What if your hair is short? What if you make Hajj or Umrah and you shave your head? What if your hair isn't long? What if your hair doesn't move in the salah? What if you have an afro? Everybody clear on this or not? So this just goes to show you that these different ijtihadat and tafsirat and things like this are not universally acceptable. And it's impossible for this to be the maqsood and everybody doesn't wear the same style of dress, the same style of clothes, same type of hair, same hairstyle. I have long wavy hair that makes sujood with me, but I choose to do what? To cut it. Everybody clear on this or not? And it goes to show you the wisdom that we mentioned from some of the ulama such as Hafiz ibn Hajar and Hafiz ibn Rajab pertaining to kibr, pride and arrogance. Pride and arrogance. Type. Moving forward. The next chapter, the author rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here, باب ما يجمع صفة كذا باب ما يجمع صفة الصلاة وما يفتتح به ويختتم به باب ما يجمع صفة الصلاة وما يفتتح به ويختتم به. Chapter 46 says, collection of the characteristics of salat, prayer, and the way it is begun and ended. In this chapter, the author is selling you the idea that he's going to speak on and discuss the comprehensive hadiths that talk about how the Prophet prayed comprehensively, how he begun the salah, and how he what? Ended the salah. But in English, Usama, that's not what? It's far from the case. That's what? From the case. This glitch and this blunder is all the other reasons as well. It's because in Sahih Muslim, Imam Muslim quotes this hadith and others, and he mentions the hadith of Aisha, which is one of the most comprehensive hadiths about the Prophet's prayer. How he begun the salah, how he bowed, he raised his head, etc., and how he ended the salah. But because the hadith is only in Sahih Muslim, it's not in Bukhari and Muslim, so the hadith is not going to be in his book, but the chapter heading will remain, and that's the ghalta. We've explained that. Naam, Khalid? We've explained that, naam. Because if you read the hadith, it says, حديث عبد الله بن مالك بن بحينة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا صلى فرج بين يديه حتى يبدو بياض إبطيه. 277, the narrator Abdullah bin Malik ibn Buhayna رضي الله عنه. Whenever the Prophet ﷺ offered salat, prayer, and prostration, he used to separate his arms from his body so widely that the whiteness of his armpits was visible. What does this have to do with beginning the salat? What does it have to do with what? Ending the salat. What does it have to do with the comprehensive description of the what? So the English reader is going to be totally what? Not confused. Lost. Totally lost. Everybody understand this? So there's another glitch in the book, and there's no footnote, there's nothing, just print it, put it out. What's important is the reason why it's like that is because in Sahih Muslim, There's the hadith of Aisha that speaks about the Prophet ﷺ's prayer, how he begun it, how he did it, how he finished it. And that hadith is not in Bukhari and in Muslim. It's only in Muslim, but the chapter heading, Muhammad Fawad Abdul Baqi took it directly from Sahih Muslim. Khairan, inshallah. As far as hadith 277, then it goes to show one of the recommended acts of the prayer, which is to spread the arms out. To spread the arms out, unless a person is in congregation and there's no space. That's the fiqh of hadith 277. Now we reach a new chapter, chapter number 47. The author says, Babu Sutratil Musalli. He says, chapter 47, the sutra of a person offering salat. And of course, Khalid, we have to translate the word salat again, which means what? The word salat, as a disclaimer for everyone listening, means what? If you didn't know that, 270 hadiths into the book, that the word salat means what? Prayer. You with me, Osama? You clear or not? You got it? Tayyib. Here it says the sutra of one who's offering salat. That's the only thing that you need to say. Because your audience is one or two people. A Muslim or non-Muslim, but a non-Muslim who's this far into the Islamic culture and tradition should have a basic idea of what? The word what? Salat. If you're studying Islam and you don't know what the word salat means as a kafir, you're not a good student of Islam. We agree on this or not? Correct? If I'm studying Christianity and I don't know the word, let's say method, and think of any word, a Christian terminology. Trinity. I'm a student of Christianity, and I don't know what the Trinity is. What's a Trinity? That's a girl's name? Who's Trinity? What's Trinity? Everybody understand this? How am I studying Christianity and I don't know what that basic word is? And I've been studying it for almost a third of the book. Something is seriously what? We agree with this or not? Or any other terminology as well. Khairan, inshallah, you study Judaism, he says, who's a rabbi? What does the word rabbi mean? How are you studying this religion of Jews and the culture and the race of Jews with such detail, but you don't know what a what? Kosher. That doesn't make any what? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And it's a waste of time, a waste of ink, and further choppiness in the translation to continually what? Translate it each and every time. A rabbi means this. All right, just say the word what? Rabbi. Everybody understand this or not? We got this or not? Like other words that we use that come from different languages and different cultures, and they have now become a part of the English language. There's no need to mention what it is. You say, what? Let's go get some sushi. The brothers eat sushi. Hopefully, inshallah, they're not scared to eat sushi. We said we're going to eat what, Osama? Some sushi. Let's go get some raw fish and rice. Khalid? I want a slice of tender, fresh salmon over top of white rice. That's what sushi is. Do you say that? You say what? Let's go get what? Sushi. Because the word sushi is what? So what? So well known in the English language that there's no need for a translation. There's no need for explanation. And every time we say, I want some fresh raw fish and rice, that now sounds robotic and choppy. Everybody clear on this? The restaurant, it says what? Sushi, noodle. It doesn't say raw fish and rice. Everybody clear on this or not? So it takes up space and it makes the translation more what? Rigid. It's not fluid. Whenever the Prophet ﷺ offered salat, kalas, yakfi. There's no need to say, whenever the Prophet ﷺ made salat, prayer, he would extend his arms in the salat, prayer. You have to stop. It's like a road bump. You can't drive smoothly. And we've explained this many times before. And from the ways of misunderstanding the hadith or being frustrated, not wanting to read further, is because it isn't enjoyable. You pick up a book, it's so smooth, it's so sweet, you don't want to put it down. When you pick up a book that's so robotic and choppy, it's so off, you don't want to what? You don't want to keep reading it anymore. Everybody understand this or not? This is a very important concept of translation. There's a very important concept of translating things into English. Khairan, inshallah. So therefore, in this chapter, the author is going to speak about the rulings of the sutra, the etiquettes of the sutra, and some of the ins and outs of the sutra. Alhamdulillah, we did maybe a 4-part series on this on the channel with regards to the Ahkam Sutra. Please go back to that playlist By Allah's permission, we mentioned many rulings and many subtle benefits pertaining to the rulings and the importance of the sutra. Hadith number 278. Hadith ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma anna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kana idha kharaja yawm al-Eid أمر بالحربة فتوضع بين يديه فيصلي إليها والناس وراءه وكان يفعل ذلك في السفر فمن ثم اتخذها الأمراء. Narrated Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, whenever Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came out on Eid day, he used to order that a harba, a short spear, be planted in front of him as a sutra for salat. And it has what, Usama? Prayer. And then he used to offer salat facing it with the people behind him. And he used to do the same while on the journey. After the Prophet ﷺ, this practice was adopted by the Muslim rulers who followed his legal ways. Hadith 279. Hadith ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه كان يعرض راحلته فيصلي إليها. 279 says, narrated Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, the Prophet ﷺ used to make his she-camel sit across and he would offer salat, prayer, facing it as a sutra. This indicates that one should not offer salat except behind a sutra. Hadith 280. He says, Hadith Abi Juhayfa radiyallahu anhu, أنه رأى بلالا يؤذن فجعلت أتتبع فاه ها هنا وها هنا بالأذان. Narrated Aun ibn Abi Juhayfa radiyallahu anhu, my father said, I saw Bilal radiyallahu anhu turning his mouth, face from side to side while pronouncing the adhan for the salah. Where is that? Talk about the sutra. There's a story behind that, but it's not mentioned here. Once again, leaving the English reader in further darkness. Hadith 281. Hadith Abi Juhayfata radiyallahu anhu qala رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في قبة حمراء من أدم ورأيت بلالا أخذ وضوء رسول الله أو وضوء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ورأيت الناس يبتدرون ذاك الوضوء ثم يقول وضوء فمن أصاب منه شيئا تمسح به ومن لم يصب منه شيئا أخذ من بدل يد صاحبه ثم رأيت بلالا أخذ عنزة فركزها وخرج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في حلة حمراء مشمرة صلى إلى العنزة بالناس ركعتين ورأيت الناس والدواب يمرون من بين يد العنزة. Next hadith is hadith 281. It's narrated by Abu Juhayfa radiallahu anhu. I saw Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a red leather tent. And I saw Bilal radiallahu anhu taking the remaining water with which the Prophet had performed ablution. I saw the people taking the utilized water impatiently over whoever got some of it, rubbed it on his body, and those who could not get any took the moisture from the other's hands. Then I saw Bilal carrying an anaza, a spear-headed stick, which he planted in the ground. The Prophet ﷺ came out, tucking up his red cloak, and led the people in salah, prayer, and offered 2 rak'ah facing the Kaaba, taking anaza as a sutra for his prayer. I saw the people and animals passing in front of him beyond the anaza. Hadith 282. حديث عبد الله بن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال أقبلت راكبا على حمار أتان وأنا يومئذ قد نهزت الاحتلام ورسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي بمنى إلى غير جدار فمررت بين يدي بعض الصف وأرسلت الأتان ترتع فدخلت في الصف فلم ينكر ذلك علي فلم ينكر ذلك علي. Narrated Abdullah ibn Abbas رضي الله عنهما, once I came riding a she-ass and had just attained the age of puberty. Allah's Messenger ﷺ was offering as-salah, the prayer, at Mina. There was no wall in front of him, and I passed in front of some of the rows while they were offering their salah, prayer. There I let the she-ass loose to graze and enter the row, and nobody objected it. All of these narrations teach us one thing, and one main thing only. We have the 2 hadiths of Abdullah ibn Umar, and we have the 2 hadiths of Aun, who narrate from his father, Abu Juhayfa. And then we have the final hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas. They teach us that it is from the sunnah for the one who's leading the salah, the one who is praying, to use the sutra. Whether you're at home, whether you're traveling, whether you're outside in an open space, to use a sutra. And the sutra doesn't have to be one specific thing. Anything which will suffice and suit the job can be used. A spear-headed stick. Why can't you just say a short spear? Isn't that easier, English? A spear-headed stick. What is a spear in English? The definition of a spear is what? A stick with a what? Piece of metal on it. A sharp object on the top. So what is a spear-headed stick? Just say a what? A spear. A short spear. Isn't that easier? Everybody clear on this or not? He says here, or we said what? Is that whether it's a short spear, whether it is a wall, whether it's a camel, she-camel, that which will suffice you as a sutra. So that's the main method of all of these authentic prophetic narrations. Everybody clear on this or not? That's the main lesson from this chapter, is that it is from the sunnah to use the sutra. Is it obligatory? We don't necessarily get that from these hadiths. Is it haram not to use it? We don't necessarily get that what? From these hadiths. Do you have to stop someone from walking in front of you? We don't necessarily what? Get that from these hadiths. Is it a major sin to walk in front of someone in a sutra? We don't necessarily get that from these hadiths. These hadiths teach us mashru'iyyat ittikhad as-sutra, is the legality of using and taking a sutra. That's the dalil. So any madhab, any culture, anyone says it's haram to use a sutra. You can't use a sutra. You should not use a sutra. The sutra was only for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what you're going to quote. And you're not going to quote the hadith about this. This is the dalil here. Is that Muhammad took the sutra. Everybody understand this? And after Muhammad, the rightly guided leaders, they also did the what? The same thing. They took it as a sutra. And also proves those who say that you don't need a sutra if you're in an open place or if you're by yourself are wrong as well. Everybody clear on this or not? That's the main fiqh rulings that we extract from these hadiths. As far as the specifics of hadith 278, then this goes to show us that the Prophet made a sutra even on the day of the Eid. And that the Eid prayer is the same as any other prayer, with exceptions to that which excludes the Eid prayer. It makes the Eid prayer special and certain rulings. How many takbirat, so on and so forth. But the asl is that it's the same. This hadith also shows us is that, I mean, some people may get upset at this statement or may not like this statement, but it's the truth. And we never apologize for the truth. Is that it's not bad for a Muslim to have a weapon. And it is not looked down upon. He says he's a militant Muslim. They're militant brothers. Was there something wrong with being militant? The person who's telling you not to be militant has the greatest, strongest, biggest what? Military in the world. Isn't that hypocritical, don't you think? Extremely. Now, causing harm to others, killing people unjustly, murdering, this and that, that's a total different what? Story. No one is saying that. When you walk down the street in America, do you find the U.S. Army shooting people with missiles and rockets and blowing them to smithereens? Not at all. But they still have what? A military. And they train, and there's the most sophisticated state-of-the-art science, and billions of dollars are spent every year for the advancement of this military, and to allow this military remains dominant above and beyond all other countries that are allies, let alone someone who's considered to be an enemy. Am I making this up? Is this hidden knowledge? Is this a conspiracy theory? Or is this plain public what? This is plain public knowledge. This is nothing that's illegal. This is well known. Everybody understand this? So if you have a weapon, or if you like to train, or you want to be tough, labas, as long as you what? Don't harm the next person unjustly. As long as you don't what? Harm the next person what? Unjustly. Then obviously when a person is militant and they have weapons and they have these things and they're aggressive and they differ in their views and their beliefs and in their ideology with another group, government or not, then that's prone to lead to some type of what? Bloodshed, without question. But it's not la yalzam. It isn't a condition. Everybody understand this? The most peaceful person may be the most dangerous person. And the most aggressive person that shouts and growls and curses and beats on his chest may be the greatest coward. And when you actually step to him or say something, he won't do anything. But he talks, act like a tough guy. Everybody understand this? Just because you have a weapon doesn't mean that you're what? Tough. Everybody understand this? But the point is how the minds and the brains of the Muslims today, whoever is listening or watching the truth is the truth. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for the truth. I refuse to do that, to apologize for the haqq. If you like it, if you don't like it, labas. But I'm not going to apologize for what I believe to be the truth. How the Muslims have been changed into thinking that, oh, there's a militant Muslim, so he's automatically a bad Muslim. And the hadith about the Prophet ﷺ's swords, his bows, the Prophet ﷺ this, he had that, and everything surrounding the Prophet ﷺ's life was regarding something. So how has that thing become such a demon today? That's unfortunate. So the hadith says that the spear was in the company of the what? Prophet ﷺ. It was a what? A spear. It wasn't a stick for this. It was an actual what? Spear, an instrument of killing. Everybody clear on this or not? Did the Prophet kill people unjustly? Did the Prophet ﷺ hurt people unjustly without a reason? Was he treacherous against his enemies? That's a total different what? Story. Everybody understand this or not? And there are many people that say, no, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't say this. You shouldn't have this. No, it's illegal to have this in your pocket. And the American law says it's what, Khalid? Legal. But you say you shouldn't have it. Everybody understand this? So you've outdone the kuffar in their own ways. You're doing a better job than what they're doing. Everybody understand this? And they themselves say that it's what? Totally fine. As long as you don't hurt somebody. Everybody understand this? Responsibility, respect, humility. These are all principles that a person needs. And it's one of the greatest things that you learn from being a true tough guy. First things you learn in martial arts. The first thing you learn about marksmanship from a true marksman, about a rifle. Your father, your grandfather, he takes you to the range. He takes you out in the woods. And the very first lesson before you shoot a bullet or you aim at a deer is to respect the weapon, son. It's not a game. It's not a toy. It's not a joke. It's not meant to just shoot someone and harm someone. It's a tool. It's an instrument that was made for the benefit of man. Everybody understand this or not? And if you don't have enough respect for the weapon, for yourself and for other people, then you're unbefitting of using it. Everybody understand this or not? And encouraging in your son manliness. Everybody understand this? There's some people today see a child with a Ninja Turtle, a sai or a nunchuck. They say, oh, why your son has weapons? He shouldn't have weapons. That's not good. That's sad. That's happened to many Muslims today, unfortunately. The next fact that we take from the hadith of 278, hadith of Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhuma, is said that the Prophet, he did it when he was traveling. So the sutra is not specific to just being at home. Also, it says, فَمِنْ ثَمَّ اتَّخَذَ الْأُمَرَاء, and afterwards the leaders, they took it, they did it, to show you that the guidance of the Salaf al-Salih is nothing more than implementing and upholding the guidance of what? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is no special and foreign exotic practice. Madhab al-Salaf is kitab and sunnah. When the people went to other things and dealt with other things and put precedence to other things above kitab and sunnah. So the leaders, they took the practice of Muhammad. So if you're under their leadership, the only thing that you're doing with them is taking them as a role model, a physical role model. But in actuality, they're doing nothing but upholding whose way? Muhammad's way. Everybody clear on this or not? So the madhab of the Salaf is to pray with a sutra. Do you have to say that? Or do you say the what? The sunnah to Nabi is what? It's to pray with the sutra. And this sunnah was upheld by the... Everybody understand this or not? Khairan, inshallah. Hadith 279. The permissibility of praying towards an animal. The permissibility of praying towards an animal. Hadith 280 and Hadith 281 is the Hadith of Awn, which has many benefits. From them is the virtue of Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and the permissibility of utilizing leather. And it's not haram to have leather, whether it's a jacket or shoes or tent, covers, bed, whatever they have, bag of what? Of leather. Also, it goes to show the permissibility of using it, and then color is red. And also shows the permissibility for a man to wear red. And that it is not haram for a man to wear red. This hadith is in the Sahihain. The hadith about the prohibition of wearing red, where are they collected, and what level of authenticity do they have? This hadith says, Hullatin hamra, a red cloak. Everybody clear on this? Was it striped? Was it checkered? Was it pure red? The hadith says what? Hamra, red. Everybody understand this? Also, it goes to show us the physical barakah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. The barakah that Allah Azza wa Jal placed upon Muhammad and in Muhammad. Whether it was his excess water from wudu, his sweat, his hair, his clothes. And that the Sahaba, not all of them, but these Sahaba mentioned that they used to fight over it and try to touch it and use it as a means of barakah and as a means of khair by the permission of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, what is the ruling on using things today that come from the Prophet ﷺ? Are we sure that this came from the Prophet? First question. Secondly, what will happen? What will this lead to? Thirdly, is it permissible to do this with righteous men? To make barakah, to seek the barakah of a righteous man? Is it permissible to seek the barakah of a righteous man? Barakah of a scholar? It's a question. Is it permissible to seek the barakah of a scholar? Yes or no? You don't know what that means. Tayyib. Is it permissible to seek the barakah of a scholar? You don't think so? What do you say, Khalid? Mahaj, say. Allah. Where's Sa'ad at? Sa'ad, he's at work. What's your name, Akhi? Arsalan. What's the rule in Arsalan? It depends what you mean by the barakah. His knowledge, his company, his advice, his experience. Alhamdulillah. If you mean by touching his hand and rubbing his chest and rubbing his hair and his sweat, then we say what? No. The barakah of a righteous Muslim is considered to be metaphysical. Besides the Prophet, it's what? Metaphysical. A barakah, you're a good friend. You bring me, alhamdulillah, good company. I stay in your barakah. Since I've been hanging out with you, how many good things have happened to me? Alhamdulillah, by Allah's permission. I went to lectures, we did this, I got married, kada, kada, kada. Everybody understand this? We travel, we stop, it's time to make salah. We're traveling, you see girls, we don't talk with the girls and look at the girls. We don't stop, let's go get a drink. Let's go smoke some weed. We try to be righteous, we try to be pious. Even though it's easy for us to fall into sin. No one knows us in this state. No one knows us where we are. No one knows that we're Muslim. We can do whatever we want to do. But we try to be righteous. So you're a righteous friend. And from that righteousness, you reminding me and teaching me, I got somewhat. Barakah. Labas. But if you mean by me touching, let me see, come on, let me touch you, akhi. Let me get some, this camera got to see. If I say what? If I say this barakah now, subhanallah. It's barakah. That's a problem. That's a what? That's a problem. And that was only specific to what the Sahaba did with who? The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Everybody clear on this or not? Also, we have the issue of places and locations where the Prophet ﷺ used to be. Can you go to Medina and sit in the Rawdah and sit on a minbar and roll around and tumble around and say it's barakah? This is where the Prophet used to sit. This is where he used to walk. Huh? Right. This hadith also, we said, it shows the virtue of Bilal radiallahu anhu. He was trusted with these things. And also shows us once again the sutra, the anaza, the spear. And it says, listen carefully, mushammiran. The garment, the hulla was mushammir. It was rolled up, tucked up. And then the next part of the hadith says that the Prophet did what? Prayed. Just like the previous issue of tucking up the garments. This hadith says that the garment was what? Tucked, mushammir, rolled, one way or another. Everybody understand? That's food for thought with that entire issue, as we explained. Moving forward, hadith shows us that which comes before you in your sutra is of no harm. If someone walks in front of your sutra, it's what? It's fine. And the ulama of Islam, they also say the distance of your sutra. So let's say someone isn't praying with a sutra, and they had the ability to get one. Some ulama say you can even walk in front of someone if they don't have a sutra, because they're at fault for not taking the sutra. But let's say you don't want to deal with that. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, walk in front of someone I'm not going to take these ulama say, I'm going to stick with the hadith. Right, no problem. But when is it permissible? How far can you walk from another person? They say the distance, the estimated distance of the what? The sutra. So this is a person praying. You're trying to walk out of the masjid. All right? And that's another issue with regards to someone praying in the road. Praying, blocking the road. But let's say in the musalla, the door is over there. So can I do this? Or can I do what? Estimate the distance of the sutra. So there's nothing between me and him. But I'm going to do what? Walk a little farther from him. And that would be the normal distance between him and his sutra. Everybody got this? Wallahi ikhwani, these are very important fiqh details with regards to implementing these hadiths properly, as we explained last night. The joints, the ligaments that mold and keep the what? The bones together. Everybody clear on this or not? Khairan, inshaAllah. The last hadith, hadith 282, is the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhuma. And the first thing we learn from this hadith is the virtue of Ibn Abbas and the awesomeness of this great scholar. Whereas the Prophet ﷺ was towards the end of his life, and Ibn Abbas was barely in puberty. How in the world did Ibn Abbas become al-Bahr, the sea, the Habr, the great scholar of this ummah? He had so many, if not, from the greatest of the Sahaba with regards to students. You count the students that all graduated from Ibn Abbas's chair. The ulama of tafsir, of hadith, of fiqh. They all came from Ibn Abbas. And Ibn Abbas died, or the Prophet died, and Ibn Abbas was barely a what? Barely a young man. Towards the end of the Prophet's life, he was barely reaching puberty. So how did he soak up all of that knowledge? And he was so what? Young. Where did Ibn Abbas get those thousands of hadiths from? He narrated them from other companions. He narrated hadiths before he was even around and on the scene, to show you the diligence of Ibn Abbas. And that if you want knowledge and if you want to be excellent, you can't be lazy. You can't just sit back and chill. You can't just do it in your own comfort, but you must be greedy. You must be diligent, and you must be willing to work for it. Clear on this or not? You have to be willing to what? Work on it. Don't ask the brother for a letter of recommendation. Don't ask someone, what book should I study? What school should I go to? What university is good to go to? What should I sit with this sheikh? Don't ask these questions. Just do it. Everybody understand this? Just do it. You got to be diligent. You got to be hungry if you want knowledge. And this hadith also shows us the ugliness of jealous and envious people who will hate on someone because of their age. Not because what he's saying is wrong, he's unfit, she's unsuited to teach the class, but just because of what? Khalid is too what? Just too young. That's the dalil that you shouldn't be teaching. That's sad. And you claim to follow the Salaf al-Salih. Ibn Abbas from the Salaf? How many other companions were older than him? Did that stop Ibn Abbas from giving fatwa? From making tafsir of the Quran? Did that stop Ibn Abbas from narrating hadith? So that goes to show you that you're a hypocrite and you're really not following the Salaf al-Salih in totality, but you're taking that which is convenient. And if you actually were following the Salaf, you would know there were all types of companions that were what? Youngsters. And they were on the forefront of the battle of ilm. Beyond and above the older companions. But you're saying nowadays, you can't, you shouldn't, however, because of someone's what? Age. No, you're trying to mask and hide your jealousy. A man can be old and can be a fool. And a man can be young and he can be wise. The next fact that we take from the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, it says here, يُصَلِّي بِمِنَا إِلَى غَيْرِ جِدَارٍ, is that he prayed at Mina, making Hajj, and there was no wall in front of him. Many of the ulama, if not most of them, they use this hadith to show that the sutra isn't obligatory. Whereas the Prophet ﷺ prayed towards other than the wall. But we say this usage is incorrect. Just because he didn't pray towards a wall doesn't mean he didn't pray towards anything else. And the other version of the hadith that says, ila ghayri shay, he didn't pray towards anything, oh sutra, that hadith is totally khata, munkara. That's not authentic. But even if the Prophet didn't pray towards a wall, what about the other hadiths in which he carried the what? It's common sense. So to prove that the Prophet prayed towards something or nothing just because there's no wall It's unscientific. Everybody clear on this? The next faida we take from this hadith is that what the Sahaba practiced as a whole, what they understood as a whole, what they agreed upon as a whole, is generally considered to be a hujjah, a proof. Whereas Ibn Abbas said that no one criticized me. The Prophet didn't see me. He says, no one. I entered the row and I let the she-ass, the female donkey, go and graze. And no one said what? Anything. The ijma' of the Sahaba. Also goes to show us, there's details with regards to ijma', the Sahaba, we're not into those right now. Also it goes to show, based off of the understanding of the companions, is that if you walk in front of someone behind the imam, that does not break or stop one's salah. And the only thing that you cannot infringe upon and violate is the sutra of the imam. So if there are 50 rows behind the imam, I come in the masjid, I'm looking for a spot, I'm searching for my keys, whatever the case may be, it's permissible for me to what? Walk in front of them. And it's not, you have to stop them in the rows, as some people used to do in the Prophet's masjid. Everybody clear on this? That's wrong. The sutra of the imam is the sutra for those who are what? Behind him. Everybody clear on this or not? And it also goes to show, or one may say, certain issues pertaining to a donkey being pure or a donkey being najis. And the difference between a wild donkey and a domestic donkey. We have a domestic donkey, and then we have a donkey that's in the wild. What's the ruling on eating the flesh of a domestic donkey? What's the ruling on eating the flesh of a wild donkey? And if a domestic donkey's flesh is najis or riks or rijis, then what about the sweat of the donkey and the saliva of the donkey? And you ride upon it, and it walks, and it's hot. It's a long fiqh issue in itself. And also, the dung or the droppings of the donkey. Are they pure or are they najis? The donkey is traveling, walking through the road. It's grazing. Everybody clear on this? It's very important if you're a farmer. It's very important if you have a farm, if you work at a slaughterhouse, or whatever the case may be. If you're a traveler, an outdoorsman. Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. Until the next episode, Jazakumullah khairan.